want to let you guys know that we are recording the class today, courtesy of Coke and Smush Friends. They're taking the time to record this class for us so that we can post these classes up on our YouTube channel. They are the official sponsor of today's class, which today's class is called Relationships and How to Build on Web3. I want to thank Coke and Smush Friends, as well as Wolffather, who is the other partner of Smush Friends, for sponsoring today's class. And I do appreciate them and love them very much, as they are a pillar in this community, whether they realize it or not. And I would appreciate it if you guys would all show them the same kind of love and respect that they show everybody else in the community, uh, respectively. So, that being said, you guys, you know, the whole purpose of today's class and lesson is to show you guys not only how to build a meaningful and lasting relationships, but also to show you how doing so is key to any success that you hope to achieve within the Web3 space, be it NFTs, cryptocurrencies, or any other activities that you are taking place in within the blockchain. Now, as an introduction here, most of us have been affected in some way, shape, or form by COVID 19 and the pandemic that we've all grown to make more use out of numerous social media platforms that are now available, and even those that were available long before the pandemic. Okay, some of those may include Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, TikTok, newer ones such as Ruji or High Social, or even some of the many others that are coming. All right, uh, some of you know about Skirpy. Okay, that's another one. But now, as we've all begun our journeys on Web3 or with Web3 and within the blockchains, these social media platforms have become a more integral part of our day to day lives and activities. So it's important to understand the true purposes and how to use these so that we can get a return on our investments. Now, you need to understand that most of us, this is our biggest investments that we make, and that is time itself. Okay. Some of us may invest some money with paid promotions or even hiring people known as social media managers and other service providers. So, how do we ensure that we're getting the most bang for our investments? I've learned over the course of my time on this planet and in business that the more successful you are in building meaningful and lasting relationships with people around you, regardless of if they are your family, friends, people on social media platforms, and potential customers, the more successful you will be in life and in business with all of them. Now, due to the craziness of our lives, both in Web3 and in space and in real life, it's even more vital that we know how to utilize these key opportunities to build these relationships to the best of our abilities. And I want to start by defining what is a relationship. Now, according to the Merriam Webster Dictionary, a relationship is the state of being related or interrelated, the relation connecting or binding participants in a relationship, a state of affairs existing between those having relations or dealings. Now, I want to take it one step further here and elaborate on this a little, okay, with regards to a meaningful and lasting relationships. I'm of the opinion that it means to have the ability to relate to someone on some level about something. Look here, and you'll have to actually look at this in order for it to make sense, but relationship, I've highlighted and boldened the word relate. Now, obviously, it's missing the E in there, okay? But relate is at the very base of the word relationship, okay? It is also important to understand that you will not be able to relate with everyone or even all the time with those that you do have something in common with. That's the beauty of a relationship. You get to decide with whom you build these relationships and with whom you allow or do not allow into your circles. You should also keep in mind, guys, and understand that no matter what, you will never please 100% of the people 100% of the time. So don't worry about being able to relate to everyone. It's never going to happen. And at the very least, not successfully long term anyway. So, how do you build relationships that lead to success? Okay. I mean, that's why most of us are here, right? We're trying to figure this out. This is the key. So let me ask you guys a question. I've actually got a few questions here for you guys. And just think about these. And if you want, put your answers within the classroom where you guys can type these in. Okay. Who are your biggest supporters right now in your life? Oh, you came off mute again, Mighty. All right. Okay, so who's your biggest supporter right now in your lives? Now that you've been able to answer that question, is there anything that those people do not or would not do to show you love, respect, and support? Now answer that question. So now, if you take the time to build that same caliber of a relationship within the Web3 space, do you think that those people that you've taken the time and energy to put into building these relationships with will do the same? Now, to answer the last question, at least from my own experience, opinion, and point of view, quite frankly and blatantly, yes. Now, I can also say that is not the case for all of them. Now, the great thing here is the pretenders, they'll make themselves known, even without meaning to, you guys. Okay. Now, generally, this will happen within about 2 weeks. Okay. But if they're really good at pretending, they might be able to pull off what I like to refer to as a long con. But in most cases, that's not going to happen. Now, as I stated a few days ago in a tweet on Twitter, do not let people take advantage of you. Relationships are a two-way street. And there is a difference between giving more than you expect to receive and being taken for granted. Okay. And you need to understand the difference there, you guys. If you do not understand the difference, that's okay. We can talk about it. All right. But there is very, very clearly a difference between being taken for granted and expecting nothing in return. Okay. Do not let people use you and manipulate you. Now, some of the things that I do and some of the things that I keep in mind as I'm trying to build meaningful and lasting relationships include the following. Number one, be able to laugh. Laughter is one of the easiest things to do. And if you were not aware, it's also one of the most contagious emotional expressions of joy. It's also been proven to be beneficial to your health overall, as well as strengthening relationships. Now, I didn't put it in here, you guys, but you have to be capable of laughing at yourself from time to time, too. When you screw up and do something stupid, don't be afraid to laugh at yourself and be like, oh my God, I was such a dumbass. Can't believe I did that. Okay. Don't be afraid to do those things. Tell a joke. Be tactful about it. Okay. Don't be discriminatory, but tell a joke. Create a laugh. Okay. And never be afraid to laugh at your own expense. Okay. Because that shows that you're not afraid. Never, ever mumble. Okay. Being able to effectively communicate is vital to the success of any relationship. If people cannot hear you or understand you, then the chances of building a meaningful and lasting relationship are greatly diminished. Additionally, mumbling also implies a lack of confidence in what it is you're saying, also, thus implying you're either uncertain or lying. Guys, you don't want to imply those things. Okay. So make sure that you're very clear about what it is that you're saying and be very vocalized about it. Right. Choose your battles wisely. In other words, it is okay to disagree with people. It's okay to disagree with somebody, but that doesn't give you the right to be a dick about it. Okay. You can still you can still respectfully disagree about the topic or the subject matter and continue in another direction of conversation. And if that's not even possible because it goes against your moral code or some moral value that you have, then that's okay. Go your separate directions respectfully. Don't be a jerk about it. Identify personal conflicts. This is probably one of the hardest things to do because until you really start communicating with each other, you never really truly know what personal conflicts there are going to be there. Okay. So some people are jokers, as an example, while other people maintain a more serious presence and tone as a whole in life. If you're one or the other of these people and you know that you do not interact with the opposite type of person, then perhaps it's in both your interest and the interest of the other person to just not get involved with trying. Now, that said, I'm also a true believer in the fact that it is better to try and fail than to never have tried at all. Now, some things that you want to consider in regards to identifying personal conflict include things like having unrealistic expectations, trying too hard, being negative about yourself, about the relationship, or about life, being a rescuer, a martyr, a savior, or a perfect person, trying to change the other person to suit your needs. Get over that because that's not going to happen. People are who they are. Deal with it. If you don't like them, then don't deal with them. Walk away. Being too self centered, too judgmental, or always right. Do not stockpile your feelings, whether they're anger, pain, sadness, neediness, and then pouring them all out at once. Expecting the other person to be a mind reader, a fixer, or always a rock of stability for you. Don't do that, guys. Do not do any of those things and keep all of those things in the back of your mind. Because if you do any of those things, you're looking for trouble. Understand what's really being asked. People are going to ask you all kinds of questions other than what they really want the answers to. And here's an example. And I get asked this question all the time. How can I be more successful in Web3? Now, what they're really asking me is, how can I gain more traffic, engagements, or even sales? Have the ability to read between the lines. Doing that can make all the difference in the world. Okay? Just talking and by communicating effectively. I think this next one is probably a really hard one for most people, and it's being responsive. Okay? Now, and I can tell you from firsthand experience, as we gain followers and the number of DMs and not just on Twitter, but on other platforms as well, it is getting harder and harder for me to be as responsive or responsive to everyone. Okay. And I don't know how it's going to continue to progress for us, but we try to rotate it because it is just myself and one other person who, by the way, doesn't have a whole lot to do with any of our social media. Okay. But be responsive as responsive as you absolutely can. So when people speak to you, about you, or even on your behalf, what that means is take time out of your day to respond to the DMs, the tweets, or other mentions that include you, to respond in a positive and engaging way that actually adds value to the conversation. Do not be a fluffer. For those of you that are in my age group, you probably know what the other definition of a fluffer is. Don't be one of those people. Okay? Fluff can be seen clearly, and no one likes fluff. Most importantly, make it a priority to do it in a timely manner. Be consistent. You guys have heard me say this time and time again. Consistency is king. By being consistent, You're showing your true self to those around you and those who come across your content. This will aid in letting people know if you're worth their time and if you're the kind of person they want in their circles. That's huge, guys. If they see you all over the map, they're probably not going to want a lot to do with you. If you're being consistent and you're being always present and responsive and doing all these other things, people are probably going to want you in their circles. People are probably going to want to get involved with you. Okay? So keep those things in mind. Now be trusting. I'm of the mindset that in most cases, to trust people until they have given me a reason not to. But I want to be clear about this. I'm also a believer in doing your own homework. So if you find yourself questioning someone's intentions, do your own research. You cannot make an informed decision without having all the information. And I'm of the opinion that this is true for everything in your life, whether you're doing something or whether you're getting involved in something, whatever the case is. Okay? You have to do your own homework. You have to do your research. Okay? Give more than you ever expect to receive or in return. Don't worry about what the hell other people are doing or not doing. We all make our own beds and we all have to lay in them accordingly, whether they are a mess or not. Give with an open heart, and if people are not doing the same, do not allow those people to take advantage of you. Understand there's a difference between expecting something in return and letting people take advantage of you, and every relationship should be a two-way street. Stay positive. The easiest way to do this is to avoid negativity. What does this mean? An example is if you come across someone that all they want to do is complain about this or about that, then avoid them. If you're in a space and it's a big bitch fest, run. Guys, it's been statistically proven that we become the people we associate ourselves with. So if we hang out with the complainers and the whiners, we are 10 times more likely to become one of those people. Whereas if we spend our time with people who are successful and positive, we're 10 times more likely to become like them. So now I'm going to ask you a question here with this. Which of those groups would you rather be more like? In conclusion, guys, at the end of the day, it's up to each and every one of us to take the initiative to build these relationships. We do that through cultivating them. Understand they're not going to be built overnight. Some of them will take longer than others. You need to understand that not all relationships will be cultivated in the same fashion, nor will all relationships work out favorably for all of us. And we all come from different walks of life with morals, values, and backgrounds. Keep in mind that what works for one relationship may not work for another, and not every relationship will lead to a direct sale of a piece of your art or even an indirect sale. But keep in mind that they all have the potential to. Whether you do what you do with your relationships is ultimately up to you. Personally, I try to live by my honor and keep in mind that I never want to burn any bridge. The reason for this is because I never know when I might need to cross that bridge in the future. Guys, with that being said, that concludes the lecture portion of this class. I am going to open it up for questions, comments, discussion. And I do hope that you guys found this information to be useful. This lecture will be available in the library and is available in the library. You guys can review that at any point in time. And I encourage you guys to review it anytime you want. And again, this will be available on YouTube as well. And I thank you guys so much for attending. Yeah.